Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and are you ready for another farewell tour in 2026? And no, I'm not talking about John Cena, even though that is a possibility. I have a theory about that in my last video. I will link up here here or the description. Either one you can check out on why I think John Cena could extend his farewell tour due to low ticket sales for WrestleMania 42 if that does become the case. But one superstar that did confirm his retirement in 2026, the phenomenal AJ Styles. AJ Styles, in an interview with Toyko Sports, has confirmed that he will retire in 2026. He said within the next year or so. And for AJ Styles, he's had a phenomenal career, very much pun intended, by the way. You know, he was one of the guys that for a while did not need the WWE machine behind him. You know, he made a name for himself in TNA. And he became one of the guys that, similar to Singh in WCW, where he made his name without having to be in the WWE. After AJ Styles went and had a Japan run, and he finally came to the WWE in 2016, it was a pretty big deal when he debuted at the Royal Rumble in 2016. That is going to be 10 years old. That would mean AJ Styles would have had a 10-year career in WWE after his debut. That is insane to think about. But as far as AJ potentially being at WrestleMania, he didn't confirm that he would be at WrestleMania next year, but I would imagine that WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas will be his last WrestleMania. And also, he talked about what he could do after retirement here. So I got some quotes here. I will probably appear at WrestleMania, talking about next year in Las Vegas, but it's not confirmed yet. So that's kind of interesting. I get it. You know, the WWE's probably still working on their WrestleMania card. You know, as we saw with WWE Unreal, you know, they start really putting the card together around October-ish. So they're probably still working on next year's WrestleMania card. And so, yeah, maybe AJ won't be at WrestleMania next year. Maybe AJ will decide to retire before that. At least the way he phrased this, where he says he probably will be at WrestleMania next year. The details are still undecided, but I will definitely retire within the next year, he told Toyko Sports. I don't want to show my fans a side of me that isn't AJ Styles. That's the main reason I've decided to retire before my body can no longer move. And I think that's a very, very smart move. I think, you know, wrestlers today, it's a whole lot different compared to the 90s, you know, the 80s and before that, and even the 70s, yada yada yada. You get what I'm saying? But you know, we live in an age today where AJ Styles is going on 50 years old, and he's still going out there and putting on fantastic matches. I am trying to avoid the phenomenal pun as much as I can here. John Cena, nearly 50 years old. You know, we saw SummerSlam. He can still put on a great match. Um, you know, you got guys like Randy Orton who still he's getting up there in age as well, but he still wants to go for another 5 or 6 years. So it's kind of like wrestlers today. You know, when you reach that 40-year mark or age, and it's like, man, they can still go. Like, it's almost like 40 is the new 30 nowadays. You look at WWE's top talent and the age of them. Like, you have to wonder, some point you got to start maybe working on building new younger talent, because I saw a comment on Reddit where someone said that the WWE can essentially do a farewell tour for like the next 10 years, 20, 15 years, or whatever. So it's one of those things where, number one, it's going to be sad to lose a lot of these guys, and the gals as well. But at the same time, the fact that AJ says, "Hey, I want to get out before my body starts breaking down." That is, I think, the pinnacle for a wrestler's retirement. And when you look at a guy like Shawn Michaels, who retired in 2010, if you don't count that debacle Saudi match, Shawn probably could have went on for another couple years after that match with The Undertaker. So he retired kind of like, hey, I want to retire before my body breaks down. And I think the same thing with AJ Styles. I think he's doing the same thing. And it's just so good we're at that point with the wrestlers today, where they're able to have this longevity. We're able to enjoy them a lot longer than we thought we would, while also they're able to get out before their body breaks down. Now, as for what AJ Styles said he would do after the WWE, well, he did say that coaching at the Performance Center down at NXT might be an option. I haven't decided yet, but I think I'll probably work for WWE. It might be good to train young wrestlers to be worthy of being on the main roster, but I don't know yet. So again, this is all quotes from AJ Styles in an interview with Toyko Sports. And you see a lot of former wrestlers down at the Performance Center training, working with these new younger talent coming through NXT. CM Punk has expressed desire to run NXT, eventually, and go down and work with the younger talent. Like, it's kind of crazy to think that when Shawn Michaels retires, that maybe CM Punk could be the one running NXT. But you see the desire from the older talent, the older wrestlers, to want to go down and work with these younger talent, help train and develop the new stars that are going to be coming into the business, at least from the WWE side of it, coming into the Performance Center. So I think that is a good thing to have someone like an AJ Styles down there. Now, obviously, we gotta look at it too. 2026. Right now, we look at what's going on in NXT. They're working with TNA. Could we see one more match in TNA by AJ Styles before he retires? Could that be a part of his retirement deal where he does get one more match in TNA? I've seen some people speculate, or at least some people say, it would have been cool if AJ Styles led that invasion of TNA that we saw in NXT earlier this week. That promo AJ Styles cut during the commercial break, where he talked about, like, he was basically complaining about his booking, but it was like, that people were speculating that maybe that could lead to AJ going back to TNA, having one more run in TNA, and I think that would be great. I would love to see AJ maybe win the TNA World Championship one more time before he retires. Do you do a Saturday night's main event in Atlanta, Georgia? Do you do a Saturday night's main event in maybe Nashville? He's a Georgia boy, but TNA, Nashville, maybe, or even Orlando, where the home of TNA, where it would be kind of a fitting end for AJ Styles, to retire maybe in Nashville or in Orlando or in Georgia on a Saturday night's main event or something like that. We saw with Goldberg, we're seeing it with John Cena this year, where he's going to retire on a Saturday night's main event. So could we see AJ Styles retire by next summer? He does one more WrestleMania, then he gets out. Now that does beg the question: who could AJ Styles' last opponent be? And I could see the WWE giving Gunther. It is rumored that Gunther could be John Cena's final opponent. I could see them giving Gunther this gimmick of just retiring all our fan favorites. He retired Goldberg. He could potentially retire John Cena. What if Gunther retires AJ Styles? At WrestleMania or Saturday Night's Main Event in Atlanta, Georgia, or whatever. Then, so who else is there that maybe you could have one more match with AJ Styles in his retirement? Finn Balor with the New Japan connection. Um, I don't know. I don't know his contract status, but there's been a lot of people speculating about Edge versus John Cena, that Edge might be coming back to the WWE. But what if Samoa Joe, his contract's up before AJ retires, and you could get like a TNA throwback where AJ Styles' last match is with Samoa Joe? It's one of those things where, again, that's a whole separate video for fantasy booking that I might have to do closer to next year, maybe early next year. But yeah, AJ Styles announcing that he's going to retire next year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who would you want to see AJ Styles face in his last match next year? Who do you think should be his final WrestleMania opponent? Let me know in the comments below. And because of this news, you will be getting a second video that I was already working on before I saw this news. So today, you will get two videos. This is the first one. The second one, you will see where I will talk about trades and draft, the WWE draft, trades, roster shakeups that I think should happen on Raw and SmackDown. Go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button, as I do produce weekly wrestling content here on this channel. I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.